What up, boys? Welcome to Ask Diaphone, the series where you can ask me questions in the Discord, and I'll try my best to answer them and abuse them for content. Yay! Farming content off people that join the Discord, which we have a good community in the Discord. We do matchmaking. We talk about games. Consider joining. Anyways, first comment is from, I don't know how to say it, bro. People with numbers in their name, kind of hard to say. Cam3nace. All right, sure. This is my first Street Fighter 6 game, Street Fighter 6 game I've actually gotten into. I got 300 hours and master. That's pretty good. That's actually legitimately good. 300 hours to master on with your first Street Fighter game. I guess it's probably not your first fighting game. Okay. But anyways, it's embarrassing to ask questions when I feel even so 300 hours is definitely like above the curve. Embarrassing to ask questions when I feel the majority of the people typically say things like, "You main can? How are you struggling?" That's so funny. I've definitely said shit like that before, right? These Ask Diaphones usually happen after I play Grand Blue, so I'm just gonna keep ranting about Nier. But like, yeah, if a Nier player came in the chat and asked that, I'd probably say the same shit, right? But realistically, like, again, this just comes down to like top tier perspective. If you're gonna play a top tier like Ken, who people are saying Ken's top 5, like, you just gotta not give them a shit. You guys can't give a shit about people saying stuff like that. I see. So you're doing training mode drills. Okay, dope. I consistently hang with my little brother, 1710 MR Geef. Oh, that's godlike. Your little brother plays Geef. Or at least make every match incredibly close, even if it wins. By going to rank and play like an absolute bot. I try to be patient, and I get destroyed with someone 1300 MR, and then I beat someone that's 1750 MR. I honestly don't understand what's wrong with my playstyle. Honestly stuck. All right, so there's a few things going on, right? So this question is about the perception. To summarize this is about the perception that sometimes I'm beating good players and I'm losing the bad players, right? And realistically, it's kind of cool that Street Fighter uses an ELO style system, because you can look at chess and the same exact thing happens there, right? I was actually I watch Gotham Chess a lot, right? And Gotham just made a video about how he beat Hans Niemann, right? So Hans Niemann's like one of the best American players. He's a guy you probably know for the vibrating anal beads cheating scandal, right? And he beat him online, and you see there's a 400 elo difference between the two, right? I guess it's more like 350. And that big of a difference is huge. That's basically the difference. That's more of a difference between you and that 1750 MR player, right? And the cool thing about elo is you can calculate how likely you are to beat someone. That's literally all elo means. So like elo win rate. So elo probability table, right? And you can see here, if you are playing someone at the same elo, statistically you have a 50% chance of winning, right? But if you play someone 350 points higher than you, like Levy did, you still have a chance of winning. Statistically, there's a 11% chance every single time Gotham goes up against Hans for Gotham to win, right? Statistically, you going up as, let's say you're 1500, you going up against a 1750 MR player, you have a 20% chance of winning, right? Conversely, if you're up against someone 1300 MR, you have a 20% chance of losing. It's definitely not a non-zero chance. And so I suspect some of that is what's going on, right? Which is like, you're like, oh, I could beat a 1700, but I'm losing to this scrub. And it's like, are you really losing to them in the same proportion, right? Like, what I recommend is, if you truly think you're just better against better players, I really doubt it, and I'd recommend going at the replays. I think a lot of people say this because they play against better players and they feel like they're playing better, because even if they lose, they're like, oh, well, at least it was close. But if you play against someone way worse than you, you don't go and lose, you're not like, oh, well, at least it was close. Usually like, fuck this scrub, this guy's so bad, right? So yeah, I think some of that's going on. I also think, you can consistently hang with your little brother, right? Again, 200 MR difference. you know, 20% chance of winning, and if you lose it's close. Yeah, that makes sense. There's also, if you play against someone a lot, it's like a whole different fucking realm, right? Because you're gonna know your little brother's habits, you can start exploiting them, they might know your habits, and so like the whole realm of elo kind of goes away if you're playing someone very consistently, because you probably play against your brother way differently than anyone else, right? So I'd probably try not to think of, like, I think of that as like an outlier, that you play against your brother and you do pretty well, because it really is an outlier. You don't play first to deaths against random people in ranked, right? Yeah, that's the other thing that I think could come into play, Resident Industry, is that like different people at lower elo play differently, right? They might, in Street Fighter 6, for example, they might mash DI, they might play scrubbier. But at the same time, like, I've played low MR people that play really solid, right? So to me, it's like, you're gonna be inconsistent. It sucks, right? Like, I could play against someone that's 500 elo lower than me, I still have a 5% chance of losing. They could just get a lot of right reads in a row, right? They could guess DP right on every single time. I could just guess wrong on offense every time, and they could win, right? And to me, like, part of that is just understanding that even if someone's way worse than you, you can still lose. But conversely, the cool thing about this is that even if you get some of the best players in the world, you still have a good chance of winning. You still have a non-zero chance of winning, right? But, I mean, that's the cool thing about fighting games. But yeah, any recommendations? The other thing that, again, people that are consistently inconsistent, it's because they usually have like a very gambly playstyle, right? I don't know if this is your case or not. I'm just saying in general, like, people that don't feel like they're consistent, it's because they rely too much on hard reads, right? Instead of like something consistent. So for example, this is like your YOLO Ken that does EXDP on wake up, or they press buttons on wake up and they only rotate the two. And if you have really good reads, it'll work. But if not, it doesn't work, right? And those kind of play styles that are very read heavy and not like consistent, I say like not consistent in terms of risk reward, are generally going to do a lot worse. So maybe that's your case too, and like figure out how you can, win without guessing, right? Because the less you guess, the better, right? All right, anyways, thank you for the question. Dinkton, modern or classic? Someone is fairly new to fighting games, and with a decent amount of time put in the Grand Blue, I want to get Street Fighter 6. I recommend modern, actually. The cool thing about modern is that it will teach you how to play classic, right? Obviously, there's like a transition. It's going to take a while to transition if you do decide to go from modern to classic. But there are people at the highest level that play modern. Tachikawa just got 9th at CEO playing modern Ed. And also, I play against people my elo, 2000 plus, that are also on modern. It's pretty rare, but it does happen. And it does make the transition easier, right? Which I think is the whole point of fighting games, or like the whole point of learning a new game, is try to make the transition as easy as possible. And you'll learn inputs on the way. The only other thing I'd say is, like, because you do have some previous fighting game experience, and maybe you want to transfer to other fighting games, maybe learning classic will be a little bit better for longer term growth. It really depends on how you want to play, right? Do you want to struggle more in the intermediate phase, or do you want to struggle more in the beginner phase? To me, a lot of people statistically aren't going to reach the intermediate phase, so I recommend just making it easier in the beginner phase and increase your chance of getting to the intermediate phase. All right, struggling with motivation. I'm a person who's loved fighting games ever since I got into last year. The same goes for watching YouTubers, Street Fighter 6 and Tekken. But when I try to get and play the rank, I struggle to even get a game of it due to stress and worry. Is there any way to try to get it past this mindset? So this is a really interesting title and question combo, because if you look at the title, to me, that gives me vibes of like, I struggle playing the game, I struggle trying to improve, I just want to play for fun. And then you read the body and it's like, I get stressed when I play ranked. So I'm not really sure what's going on here, right? So I'll try to guess. Anyway, try to get past this mindset. Nuji, the editor on the channel, actually put a pretty dope video on this about dealing with ranked anxiety. Check it out on his channel. But if you're interested, on the TLDR, it's basically a lot of it's about mindset. A lot of it's about using ego to your advantage or not having an ego at all, right? Because if you don't have an ego, then it doesn't matter if you win or lose. You're just playing to learn, right? Or you have the ego that says I'm the best and eventually I'll learn this and get good, right? You know, you could play on a Heidi account and not worry about that. You could just lose on purpose. It's actually pretty interesting. I did a coaching session right before I went live, and it is more on like YouTube consulting, right? And my advice to this person was you actually need to fail faster, right? They had a couple videos. The videos are pretty good. But the last time they posted was 5 months ago, right? And if you don't get those reps in and you don't fail and you don't make a bunch of shitty videos, then you'll never learn to make a good video, right? And it's kind of the same thing with fighting games, is that if you don't take losses and you just want to like wait until you're good, it's very, very inefficient. And it's so much quicker just to fail and lose really, really quick. And then you'll, you know, eventually in the long term, you'll be winning more, right? So yeah, that's kind of my take on it. If you're struggling with motivation, I kind of see how these are kind of connected now, which is like, if I'm stressed and not having fun every time I play ranked, then it's not going to be enjoyable, right? But to me, you have to incentivize like taking losses. You know, there's a whole thing called like temptation bundling, which is if you don't want to do something, pair it with something you do want to do, right? So there's probably something about fighting games you do like, and there's probably something about fighting games you don't like, aka ranked. So, you know, play a little ranked, take some losses, and then do something in fighting games you like, and, you know, positively reinforce the habit of, you know, doing what you need to do to get better. Another example of temptation bundling is me going to get my blood. I fucking hate getting my blood taken. I hate needles. I hate it. It makes me feel like shit. I don't like the whole process. So in order to like reward myself, I'm like, all right, I'll go get coffee. I don't normally, you know, go to the local coffee place and get coffee. So I'm like, this is my reward for putting up with this shit in the morning. But yeah, I mean, and obviously there's like other benefit, like motivations other than coffee to get, you know, to get my blood taken out, you know, for health reasons and stuff. But yeah, that's try to, just like with anything, right? Try to trick your body and trick yourself into doing the right things you need to do in order to improve, and do what you really enjoy in fighting games too. Hey, Diaphone, Chopper the plug. Oh shit, hit me up with some good drugs, I guess. Not really, this is family friendly stream. Hey Diaphone, I love your content. Anyways, I'm Main Akuma and Ken. I'm trying to get, I get Chopper because he actually has drugs in the show. Damn, I didn't get that. All right, anyways, I'm trying to climb to Masters. I'm plat 3 of both. My biggest challenges come against Ed. How do I play the matchup correctly? And do you have tips for run cancel combos with Ken? That's very specific. So a couple recommendations here. One is, if you're having challenges against Ed, I mean, like, obviously I could say like some really basic shit, right? Which is like DI EX flicker, and don't be afraid to DI neutral, and don't be afraid to jump. You have to play him a little nuttier than a lot of the other zoners, because his tools are really good, but they also carry risk, right? They all lose to like random shit. And then obviously like jab on wake up's really strong against Ed. Like, I could tell you all that shit, but realistically it doesn't matter. You're plat 3, right? Which means that you should be focusing more on your one player game than actual matchups, right? You know, getting your combos down, getting your anti-airs down, getting your, you know, your set play down, making sure you can stop people from mashing, learning how to delay tech if you don't know already how to do that, learning how to beat delay tech with a shimmy if you don't know how to already do that, right? Timing mini throws, etc. Like, all of this is way more important than learning the Ed matchup, because you only play against an Ed once out of every 22 ranked matches. I don't fucking know how many characters are in Street Fighter, but you get the idea, right? So don't worry too much about Ed, and figure out how you can even if you don't know the matchup, get so good at your one player game that it doesn't actually matter, right? And run cancel combos for Ken, I don't know, bro. You just gotta do it. I don't know off the top of my head, but if you look at what I would do, legitimately, like if I were in your position, I'd look up a replay of someone playing Ken that's like a top level player. You watch their inputs for the run combo and see what they're doing different than you, right? You and Guilty Gear, what's your recent opinion on Guilty Gear as a game? And more primarily, do you see yourself making more Guilty Gear content for YouTube? I like Guilty Gear. I think it's fun. Season 3 is my least favorite season. I do not like the Wild Assault mechanic. I think, especially White Wild Assault, I think it's very scrubby. I don't like any of the characters that are top tier, because they're basically just characters that shit out a bunch of damage or have White Wild Assault. But at the same time, like, I still love Guilty Gear, right? Like, obviously, I covered the game for 2 years, really enjoyed it, missed playing it competitively, I'm not gonna lie. And do I see myself making more Guilty Gear content? It depends. Slayer came out at a really bad time, right? Where Akuma was out and Beatrix came out. And at the same time, I still made a couple videos about it. I like those videos. I thought both of them were good. I made a Slayer guide. I made just my day one grind. I'll probably make a couple of, at the bare minimum, I'll probably make a couple videos about every other DLC character. I gotta figure out what those will be, you know, but yeah, I love checking out the new DLC characters. Outside of that, I don't know, they'd have to do something that like really made the game interesting. Like maybe the 3v3 mode's a fucking banger. Maybe they add like a new mechanic I really like. I don't know. But yeah, right now I just don't like the state of the game as compared to previously, so I gotta figure that out. Thanks for the question. How do you keep up offensive pressure in Street Fighter 6? Hey, Burke. I just got JP the Master. Grats. And I'm trying to get Jamie the Master. I have Jamie and Diamond 4, but I only have a 51% win rate, so it's low. Yeah, so eventually you'll get there, right? Like, you only need like a 45% win rate to get the Master, which is kind of weird just because of inflation and shit. So, yeah, you'll get there anyways. I think one of my main problems is that when I get a knockdown or drive rush in, I find it hard to hit them. I either play it too safe and let them go back to neutral, press buttons back, or overcommit and get punished. I assume with Jamie, right? You get knocked down or drive rush in, I find it hard to hit them. Overcommitting, but yeah, that's kind of the issue with Jamie, right? Is like, let's say you do drive rush 5 heavy punch, and you have to walk up and throw, right? And in order to beat people, like what you do is that you just mash, right? And so in order to beat mashers, you have to do jab, and then the jab pushes you out, right? Do you have any advice for what Jamie could do? So to me, you just have to, like, it sounds like you're guessing wrong. Honestly, I either play it too safe and let them go back to neutral, right? So let's say you do drive rush 5 heavy punch, right? Or this is for any character. Drive rush 5 heavy punch. Now, what are your options? You can do jab. It'll be mash. You can do walk up throw if you think they're just gonna down back. You can do crouch medium kick if you think they're gonna walk back. And you can back off if you think they're gonna DP or do something like that, right? So the question is, are you rotating them all properly? And are you catching on to your opponent's habits quick enough, right? Because oftentimes people are they have a couple defensive options they like to rotate, right? So for example, my go-to dealing with Jamie is I'll try to do like a delay jab, right? After drive rush 5 heavy punch, because if they walk forward, I might still clip them and I'll block the stand jab. So like, how do you beat that, right? You do delay button, you might be able to walk up throw. You know, are people doing delay thing? You just gotta figure out the offensive habits and figure out how to exploit them, right? Because right now it feels like my guess is if you play it too safe, to me, it's not like actually playing it safe, right? It's more of like, try to beat what you think your opponent's gonna do, and make sure you have all your options, like, and understand how they all work together. And then same thing with throw. I mean, like, obviously JP doesn't, you know, you could get the masters fucking spamming ghosts and spears and shit. But like most characters, right? Like the triangle strike throw shimmy. Jamie, when they get a hit, I mean, a lot of times he has to drink, which is why he's bad. But let's say you get a corner knockdown where you don't have to drink, then you know, you strike throw shimmy, right? The same thing with JP, or same thing with everyone. and you just gotta figure out like what your opponent likes to do and figure out how to beat it. And if you can't guess right, then you just gotta figure out how to get, you know, win neutral, right? You're diamond 4, so you can definitely out neutral people. And Jamie's neutral's pretty good, right? You have good drive rush, you have good buttons, you know, crash medium kick's good, stand heavy kick's good. You know, you get drink, you get stand light punch buffers, you get dive kick, you got a lot of shit. So even if you go back to neutral, it's not the worst. And then when you go back to neutral, like figure out what they're, you know, let's say the first drive rush 5 heavy punch, you just back off and you see what they do, right? And if they just sit still, like, okay, maybe going forward, the next time I do it, I'll try to like walk up throw, right? So like even if you're playing it too safe, there's like a lot of information you can get. But yeah, that's some of the issue of Jamie, like compared to JP, so I totally understand. All right, yeah. Oh, did I get a new comment here? Oh, they're replying as we go. It's very funny. Anyways, yeah, thank you guys so much for another episode of Ask Diaphone. Yeah, keep submitting comments or keep submitting questions. You go on trying to say like, share, subscribe, take care, y'all, peace.